I don't know when the next wave of bank failures will be, but I bet there are more coming in the next 6 months. By next fall, for sure, we'll have another wave, if not sooner. I think that right now bears are specifically targeting regional banks, whether those regional banks deserve it or not, seeing that a lot of money can be made, and they don't care who they hurt. They just like, I'm going to short somebody and make a lot of money. And that's what they care about. The federal government's going to have to do something. How would I phrase this? They're going to have to do something to ensure that regional banks can survive. And I think that that's something they have to do is break up the big banks. Because right now, if you kill off small banks, they get consumed by the big banks, and the big banks get bigger, which makes them even scarier. So we need to just chop up those big banks into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller pieces, and just kind of smear them like peanut butter on a piece of bread. And then, then 50 years from now, they can consolidate and just do it all over again. Jubilee is what we call it. Have a jubilee of the banks, and in a few decades, do it all over again. Otherwise, they're just going to randomly target these banks until they find one that just is weak enough that they can just destroy it. And they will. They'll destroy it happily and make a bunch of money off their puts or short positions or whatever it is that they're doing. But specifically which bank? I don't know. First Republic had to take a whole bunch of money from their buddies to survive. They've got an incredibly high rate of rich people with cash in accounts that aren't necessarily insured. Interesting thing. So driving through Canada yesterday, listening to CBC radio, they have on some economist guy from a university talking, and he was mentioning that in Canada, they have $100,000 insurance per account at banks, right? But if you are in a credit union in Canada, you are insured to infinity. So you could put a cajillion dollars into your bank account or into your credit union account, and it's insured no matter what amount you have in your credit union. So if you are a rich person in Canada, I don't know why you're not in a credit union, because that is as safe as it gets right there. So do that. Josh Pepals, Tennessee. Do you think enough people will hear what the senator from Oklahoma said to the Fed at birthday? No. The senator from Oklahoma was asking. It wasn't the Fed. It was Yellen, Janet Yellen. He was asking Janet Yellen if they guaranteed the accounts of everyone at Silicon Valley Bank. Then does that mean that everyone everywhere has the same guarantees? And she was like, case by case basis. So, I mean, they will bend over backwards to protect rich people all day long. So I'm going to say yes. That everyone who's rich is guaranteed to have their money backed up. With all the buggery, the powers that be will end up having to settle on a certain figure rather than let it run. That I don't know. If they settle on a certain figure, they're writing off investment by foreigners in U.S. markets pretty much forever. If they let it run, they're dooming every bank in existence, and they're going to force the largest bailouts ever done. And so, which way or the other? Which one's better? I don't know. There's probably a decision to make in the meantime. My guess is they're going to go with bailouts because that's what they know. I mean, they're going to choose basically their goal is to keep unemployment at a certain level and drive inflation below the unemployment level. That's their goal. And they need to get inflation down to 2%. There's lots of talk about them ending quantitative tightening and beginning quantitative easing. We saw them add $300 billion to their holdings, which is the opposite of quantitative tightening. They should be selling all that crap off. They've got a lot they've got to sell off. And that they're using the excuse of these bank failures is like, oh, well, Obviously, the troubled times are here. We got to start cutting rates. But oil bounced back up again. There does not seem to be any end to inflation at the moment. So if they don't cut rates, or sorry, if they don't raise rates, they just keep it the same, they are not doing their job. They should, you know, and I hate being the dick, but you have to raise rates. You have to raise rates above the rate of inflation. Right now, inflation is at 6%, so they have much further to go. They have to raise rates above inflation. And that would cause people to leave the market, bring market prices down, bring oil prices down. People would buy into bonds, buy into gold, buy into silver. And that would actually start to see perhaps a contraction in prices is what we actually need, and get it back down to that 2% level. If they cut rates, then we're fucked. We're gonna double dip recession. We're gonna stagflation. We're gonna do all the bad stuff. Don Caesar Shadem, the Fed has already wiped out all the quantitative tightening they've done. Yep. So they must be close to back up to like 8.8 trillion in securities. Value of securities held by Federal Reserve. Let's see what. Oops, I can't spell reserve apparently. What is the level? Where are we? This is Treasury securities. Is at 5.3 trillion. That's not what I want. I want securities outright. That's the one I want. Oh, yep. We were at 8.4 trillion in May. We dropped down to 7.9 trillion. So they had done almost 500 billion in quantitative tightening, and they added 300 billion this week. So they're right back to where they were. Almost. Cool. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go, Fred. Good job. So this was 8.49, 7.9. So about 500 billion that tightened, which is not enough. They to tighten, they had to dump this, basically. This thing they added since 2020, which is about $5 trillion. So they have to dump about $5 trillion in securities onto the market, crash the prices of everything. Everyone pulls their hairs out. They jump out of buildings. That's when they know they've actually tightened things. They did not do that. Therefore, they've not actually tightened. They just sort of like let one little bit of their zipper down a little bit, and that's about where they are. Humph. Suave Daddy. Houston, next week, do you think an Evergrande bankruptcy can tank the global market? I'll say why not. I mean, them saying, I'm bankrupt, and everyone who has their $300+ billion in bonds, which are a whole bunch of Western banks and institutions, they will announce they'll have to write off that debt. They'll be like, hey, depositors, that money you gave me, it's gone. Poof. I put it in Chinese real estate, and that was a real dumb idea on my part. So sorry. That's kind of how it's going to roll. That's going to be exactly what we saw from Silicon Valley Bank. Remember, they took the depositors' money, they put it into short-term, low-interest, fixed-rate bonds that weren't worth anything, and their customers' money was gone as a result. You are just a cute dog, monkey. Yes, you are. Was it BlackRock has 40 billion of those bonds? RBC has 14 billion of those bonds. HSBC had like 20 billion. Let's see if we can find that list. Evergrande bond holders list. Funds exposed to China. This is from September. Okay. Give me the list. Give me the list. Give me the list. Give me the list. UBS. How many? Nope, that's just percentage. Give me the cash number, dude. Not the percentage of who holds what. Okay, that's not the list. That's Reuters. You failed me miserably. All right, here's Nikkei. Maybe this will give us. Yeah. Yep. Oh, there we go. Okay. See if it's in here. Okay. Asia High Yield Fund, 8% this year. Nope, that's not one. BlackRock, UPS, immediate content. Okay, don't tell me how much in the bonds there. Where's that list, dude? Okay. Maybe Morningstar has it for us. No. Come on, man. Sorry. It's the Houston Searching the Internet show in his dual screen action. List of bondholders. Here we go. This better actually be a list. All right, this is from a Bloomberg terminal shot. I'm not sure what the date is. This was September of 2021. Okay, let's turn off the Earth. Okay. So, HSBC, 54, almost 55 billion in Evergrande. Royal Bank of Canada, 45 billion. BlackRock's 14 billion. I flipped Royal Bank of Canada and BlackRock. Okay, so Royal Bank of Canada, if they've got to write off $46 billion in their customers' deposits spent on these bonds, they're going to have a real bad time. Even Vontobel, Prudential, UBS has got a pretty good exposure. And also recognized there, Franklin Hang Seng Bank, Union Investment. So the big ones, the big three, HSBC, Royal Bank of Canada, BlackRock, they themselves represent over $100 billion of those bonds. That's a lot to blink out of existence there. And there's another 200 billion below that. Oof. So HSBC, who just picked up the Silicon Valley Bank European offices for £1, will be facing the exact same problem that SVB did with their long-term, low-interest, fixed bonds with just this one Chinese real estate company. Dang, dude. All right. So, oops. What you gonna do? Trip over your own dick. That's what you're gonna do. So yeah, if they declare bankruptcy, that's all written off. Ain't getting anything.